Hello again. In this one, we're going to talk about copying stuff. There's a couple ways here. So, first, I want to go to M, which is to render things by coordinates. I'm going to hit Shift and hit the tilde to get a nice blank frame. And I'm going to make a polygon, which is option B. And the center, this is just fine because we're going to move it around anyway. We'll go with that. And the number of sides, let's go with something like 13. So there we have a 13-sided polygon, and we're going to go into menu L, and we're going to select the whole thing. There's a couple ways to do that. You can tap the U key. There is only one segment in this frame, so tapping U would select the first and only segment, or you can do the backslash pipe thing, which puts the egg on the 0th vertex and the spider on the 13th, which is the last one. So this whole thing is now selected, okay? And I'm going to go Shift, and I'm going to hit the equals or the plus sign, which reduces the size of the whole thing, okay? I'm going to get it down to about, yeah, that's probably a good size. Okay, and I think I'm going to move it up a bit for this particular effect. Get the menu out of the way. Move it up. I'm pressing and holding the Y key, which moves it up in Y. All right, and I'm going to press and hold Shift X, which moves it over to totally on this side of space. So that's right here now. Okay, so now I'm going to hit the tab menu, and I'm going to change move points per key hit. Hopefully you saw the video 0010, or yeah, 0010, which was the whole the scan lines effect, where I set this to be 1/100th of the width of space. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to say B. But this time I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than that. We'll make it 1/50th of space. So now it's 1/50th of space. Roughly, each move would be 2% of the width of space, or an exact number of 1,310 coordinate locations per move. Okay, so don't want to save that. Okay, now, in the scan lines thing, I just did copy, move, copy, move, copy, move, right? So, all right, first of all, I don't want this to be, well, I guess it's okay. We'll leave it red. That's fine. All right, so it is where it is. So now it is selected, okay? But instead of copy, move, leaving all of the copies all in this same frame, turn the menu on, I can hit this grave key, which is this key right here. Top row, very first key. The grave is the unshifted version of this key. The tilde is what you get when you shift, right? Again, this is a US English standard keyboard, QWERTY standard keyboard. So that's the layout we have. So this grave thing copies the frame, right? So not only does it copy the frame, it also copies what is selected in the frame. So if I copy the frame, see now, well, hang on, let me do something else here first, all right? So here, there's the first, I hit the digit 9, we're in the main menu, I hit the digit 9, we go to the very first frame, and the very second frame you'll see is a copy of it, right? So I'm going to select this one, going to go into menu J, and I'm going to trim, that's option 3, to the selected frames, and so now you see those are the only frames that are left in the frame set. That's it. We have 0, we have 1. Okay, back into menu L. We are on frame 1. So, get rid of the menu so you can see it. We'll go X, and we just moved it. And we're going to go grave, right? And you see here, right? When we do a copy frame, not only does it copy the entire contents of the frame and what is currently selected, it also moves you in the frame set to that copy, right? So we now have we have this one, we have this one, and we have this one. So I'm going to move that one with X. I'm going to hit grave X, grave X, grave X, grave X. And let me just do this. You know, this is kind of crazy. So, wait a minute, where are we at? Okay, okay, right. Grave X. All right, you notice I tapped that again and it didn't move because the very next move would have been out of bounds. So, okay, so we have an extra frame that we don't really want. We've got boom, and apparently we have a couple of them. Okay, right, all right. So frame index 43, 42, and 41 are all the same. So we'll go to 43, and we're going to hit the backspace key, right? This one right here. That one's gone. Oh, wait a minute. Excuse me. Wait a minute. All right. In the main menu, we had to bail out of the L menu because the backspace does something else in the L. So, all right, back to the main menu. Still on frame index 43, which is actually the 44th frame in the set. We're going to hit the backspace, boom, now it's gone. We're going to hit the backspace, boom, now it's gone. Now the last frame in the frame set is index 41, and you see now all the frames are unique, and we have this thing that appears to be moving across the screen like this, which is kind of cool, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to, see again, we're in the main menu, right? There's main menu. We're going to output this as an ILDA file. We're going to, well, let's go ahead and make a new directory because this is a new project, right? So we're going to go, let's just call it new. Why not? Okay. So now we have a directory called new, and there are no ILDA files in it, right? Because we just made it, right? So now we're going to hit option 3 to save all of the frames in the current frame set to a single ILDA file. So we go 3, and we're going to call this one R, and I'll show you why as we get to it. So we're going to do that, and boom, now it saved it. See, 42 frames, right? We just saved that. Escape, now we're back in the main menu. Go to the first in the menu, right? Doesn't really matter, but just for the heck of it. Right, so we'll go to J, okay? And we're going to reverse the frame set order, just like we did in the scan lines example. Okay, so now it's reversed, right? I'm going to escape. We're going to import an ILDA file. We're going to stay in the new directory, and there's R. It's the only thing there. So there it is. You hit enter. And we're going to append it to the frame set. Option 4. Boom. Okay, so now we have it going like that, which is pretty cool, right? Now we know that index, we are in the main menu, we know that index 42 was the last one in the one where it just goes straight across. So from the main menu, I can tap the Y key, and it's asking me what frame index do I want to go to. So I'm going to say 42. Boom. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, we reversed it. That's right. Yeah, so that's right. Okay. So that's now the first frame because we reversed it, right? And index 42 is the midpoint of the whole thing, and you'll notice there are 2 copies of this frame. 41 and 42 are identical because, you know, we copied it and we spliced it onto the end of itself. So either one of them we don't want. We just want it to go there one time and then come right back again. So I'm going to hit the backspace key again. Boom. Frame's been deleted. Now we don't have that double frame thing. It just does a nice bounce like that. All right, so that's cool, right? So now we have that, which is kind of nifty, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say O to save it, 1 for ILDA, stay in the new directory that we're in, save all of the frames, and we're going to save it right over the top of itself. We're going to call it R, and it's asking me if I want to overwrite this. I'm going to hit the Y key because I do. So now we have 83 frames that look like this. Okay? And they're all red, which is cool. All right, so now we're going to go to the first frame. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to, first of all, we'll go to menu G, which is how we can color things, right? And we're going to, let's see, how do we do this? What I want to do here is I want to make all of these frames a different color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, where is it now? Mono. Nope, I'm in the wrong menu. Going to P for the palette menu, okay? And what I want to do here is I want to edit a color that's in this palette, and I'll show you why, okay? So we're going to say C, set selected color RGB in the target palette, right? C. So I'm going to hit C, and I'm going to set it to yellow. See, now this color index is yellow, and you'll notice it actually made a whole new palette. See, this one's called default, okay? And this one's called this thing here, which is what you might call a globally unique identifier. This string of characters right here is actually generated by the day, the date, the time, right now. So, chances of two people in the whole world getting this same exact string of characters is pretty close to zero. So anyway, it makes a globally unique identification tag, and that's what it calls this palette. And you'll notice this is an 8-character string of characters. So palette names have to be 8 characters or less. So this is a valid palette name. So anyway, we edited that, right? So now we're going to escape out of here. We're going to go into G, right? And now what we're going to do is we're going to change to the target palette by index. What that means is whatever index anything is, what color it is in this frame, which is associated to this palette, this would be index 0, okay? So I don't want to look for the best match of this color in the target palette. I just want to use the same exact index number, which in this case is 0. So when I hit C, and I'm going to hit capital C, Shift C, in order to do this to all the frames in the frame set, they all become yellow because, well, that's what this index is. And so we're going to escape out of here, back to the main menu. You see it changed everything to yellow, okay? Now, again, this is not the default palette, but now what we can do is we can do a best match of colors to the target palette. So we're going to hit Shift B. Oh, excuse me. Wait a minute. First, I got to set the target palette. Now I just went back. Now our target palette is the default palette, which is, that's the one that's most commonly used in any kind of ILDA file you're likely to find out there that isn't either format 4 or 5. It's got to be format 0 or 1. It uses a palette. Now we're saying that we just put the default palette in the target palette position, and now when we do this best match colors to the target palette, Shift B for all the frames, boom. It now just changed. This yellow now is pointing to the yellow that's in this palette, okay? And I can prove that. Escape out of here, go to K. You'll see this whole thing is selected. If I hit Shift C, it's going to get the color index of whatever's sitting under the spider. So Shift C, see, there it is, yellow, 255, 255, and it is a member of the default palette. So now we have this thing in yellow, which is, that's all right, right? Okay, so I want to do something extra here. I'm going to go into menu H, and I'm going to quarter turn this clockwise, which is digit 5. I don't want to do it to the entire frame set, so it's actually Shift 5 to do it to all the frames in the set. So Shift 5, boom, it just went well, actually clockwise, it went boop, like that. So now it's going like this. Okay. All right. Well, that's kind of neat. Okay. So now, okay, I'm in main. I'm going to go O to output, 1 for an tilde. I'm going to stay in the directory called new. I'm going to save the entire frame set as Y, as in yellow. Boom. So just did that. So now we have 2, I'll show you, in the tilde folder. Boom. In new, we have R and Y. Okay. So now we're going to do the same thing that we kind of did before. We're going to go into menu P. Whoops. What did I just do? Oh. Okay. Got to be in the right, got to have focus in the right place, right? Okay. Go to menu P, which is about palette stuff, right? And we're pointing to, in the current default palette, this palette color picker thingy is pointing to yellow in the default palette, right? And again, I'm going to edit the color in the target palette, which, you know, we can go with this palette. We don't need to generate a whole new palette to do this. So we just go back to this one that we generated in the first time we messed around with palettes. And this time I'm going to say C, no red, all the green, no blue. So now this index is green, okay? And this color here is this index in this palette. Okay, so I'm going to escape out of here. I'm going to go to G, which has to do with the relationship between frames in the frame set and palettes in the palette set, right? I'm going to go back. I'm going to use the up and down arrow keys. Oh, no, I'm going to leave it right where it's at. Excuse me. All right, that's good. That's where I want it. I'm going to go Shift C to change to the target palette by index, just like we did before. So Shift C, boom. Now it's green. All right? Okay, well that's cool, right? But just to keep things tidy, back into menu G, we're going to go back to the target. This is the default palette now in the target palette position. And we're going to do a best match to find green in the default palette. So we're going to go Shift B to do all the frames, and there. Now this frame is back to using the target palette, and this is still green, okay? So that's kind of cool. So we're going to go Escape, we're going to go to menu H, and we're going to do that Shift 5 thing again. Shift 5, boom. It just did another rotate, right? Escape out of here, O to output, 1 for an tilde file, stay in the directory called new, 3 to save all the frames in the frame set, and we'll call it G. Boom. So now we have R, Y, and G so far. All right? Escape out of here. Same exact process. We're going to go to P to edit the palette thing. We can go back to this one here. And, oh, wait a minute. First we have to go, let's see, escape out of here. K. We're going to go Shift C. Boom. See now our palette color picker is on the green, which is this color, which is the same color in every frame. All right? Escape out of here. Go back to P. And we're going to edit this color in this new palette thingy that we created, which is just temporary. It's for the sake of doing what we're doing here, right? So we go to set the color, which is option C. We're going to go C. We're going to go no red. We're going to go no green. And we're going to give it all the blue. Boom. All right? So we got that now in our little temporary palette deal here. Escape out of here. Go back to G and do the same thing. Set this frame, or all the frames actually, to the target palette by index. Okay, so Shift C, boom. Everything's blue now, right? Okay, and we're gonna go back to the default palette, right? As you see, everything's blue, right? Back to the target palette, and we're going to do that best match thing. Shift B, boom. Now, everything in the target palette. See, now we've just converted. Now all of these frames are now using the default palette, right? Because we just switched over to it. So now we have that. Okay, so now we're going to go into menu H. We're going to go Shift 5. Boom. And we just did this, so it's on going this way. Okay. We're going to go out. Oh, excuse me. We're going to go. Wait a minute. Let's go back to H. Undo what we just did. We just fractured segments, so we're going to bond them again. Let's see. Where is it? Bond segments M. Okay. So, it's one segment again. All right. The perils of being in the wrong menu. Oops. Anyway, so now we got this thing, right? That's cool. So we're in the main menu, as we can see there, and we're going to go out. We're going to go 1 for an ILDA file. We're going to stay in the new directory. We're going to save all the frames in the frame set as B. Okay? Okay, just did that. So now, B is already loaded. That's fine. So we'll go with that. We're going to go I to input. We're going to go 1 for ILDA. We're going to stay in the new directory. We're going to pick G. Why not? Because it's there. Hit enter. And this time we're going to do this superimpose frames into frame set. And what that means is, boom, it leaves the current frame set loaded into the memory, and it loads whatever we wanted to open into the current frame set by literally laying one over the other frame by frame. And so now we have this going on, okay? So let's do that again. We're going to import an ILDA file from the new directory. This time we're going to go with the red one, and we're going to go 5 again to superimpose. And now we have this. And last but not least, we're going to input an ILDA file from the new directory, yellow, superimpose, boom. And now we have this. Well, that's pretty cool. Okay? So that actually shows quite a few things, right? It shows how you can copy a frame and then, move things within the frame and so on, right? So that's kind of neat. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to go out 1, stay in the new directory, 1, save the entire frame set as, I don't know, circles. Boom. There it is. So now we just saved that. And there it is. Circles. So that's a nice little effect there, right there. It's got motion, it's got symmetry, it's pretty cool. Okay, so and you saw how we did that, right? So another thing too that's kind of neat when you're doing the copy move thing, LaserBoy has the ability to do what is sometimes known in the graphics editing world as onion skin. And what that means is, we're in the main menu, we're going to go to the user interface, visual settings, and we're going to turn onion skins on, which is option E. And what this does is, these like faded representations, they're not actually in this frame. This is the previous frame, the one before that, and the one before that, okay? So when you're drawing, editing, and moving things, you can actually see what's under the frame that you're currently working on. And that's what that's all about. So you can turn that on or off. And there's also settings like if you go into the tab menu, you can set the percentage of fade. See, onion skin fade. It's fading 70%. That's actually quite a bit. So let's change that so it's not so faded. We'll go S. Let's make it only fade, I don't know, 30%, right? So there's that. And then onion skin depth, that's how many frames previous can you see. Currently it's set to 4. Since we made the fade a little bit less, well actually quite a bit less, we'll make it so that you can see. We're going to hit W, make it so that you can see more depth, right, into the past, so to speak, previous frames. And we'll say 7 of them. Boom. Okay, so now it's 7. So now, there you go. You can see 7 previous frames, and the fade is not anywhere near as much as it was. So it's kind of it's an animation utility or tool so that you can actually, you create a frame, then you make a copy of it, and then when you edit the copy of it, you can clearly see what's underneath it. So that's what that's all about. So that's a pretty cool little animation, but the way it looks right now is obviously not the way it would be displayed because onion skins are currently on. So I'm gonna turn that off, right? Onion skin is off. See, that's off. Turn it back on again, and you see if you turn vertices and the blanking on, the vertices and blanking only show up in the current frame, right? They don't show in the onion skin iterations of the frame, but they can. If you hit F, now you can see the vertices and the blanking in the onion skin frames as well. So turn that off, turn that off, turn those things off, and this is actually what we have, frame by frame. And we already saved it. So there's that. That's pretty cool.